Coming in at number 10, we have the story of Chloe Ayling. The dark web is used for human trafficking. Unfortunately, that is a simple fact. Now, most of us are luckily ignorant to this, but it is still very much happening. In mid-2017, it seems that a human group calling itself Black Death lured a 20-year-old model, Chloe Ayling, to a photo shoot in Milan, Italy. The shoot was bogus, and the British model was then snatched, bundled into a bag, drugged and held hostage by the group. Now, they planned to sell her or claim ransom of 300,000 euros for her. The model was eventually freed 6 days after her capture, and her captors, Michael and Lucas Herber, were arrested. The Black Death group is a real group of human traffickers who use the dark web to sell sex slaves to buyers in the Middle East. It's disgusting. Okay, this one is a bit of an urban legend. We have Mariana's Web at number 9. Mariana's Web is the name supposedly given to the deepest, darkest parts of the dark web, and it gets its name from Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the ocean. Few have ever gone this deep, so it's hard to bring you confirmed stories, although I will say there are some intense rumors circulating about what this super encrypted site holds. According to a number of urban legends, this is where the darkest secrets in humanity are hiding, as well as the Vatican secret archives, evidence of alien life forms, artificial intelligence, and the location of Atlantis. While a lot of people think that Mariana's Web is pure anecdotal creepypasta, others are convinced it's real. Honestly, pedestrians like you and me will probably never know. Sometimes the dark web meets the mainstream web, and it is terrifying. Let's talk about the horrifying case of Colin Henson, a Vine user captured by a twisted YouTuber. This is all coming into number 8. So you guys may have heard a little bit about this one in our live stream, but I want to go a little bit deeper into this really scary deep web story. Colin Henson went missing soon after he began posting on social media in January 2015. It seemed like he really enjoyed Vine. In one video, Colin shared his adventure to an abandoned mental asylum in Arkansas, which he says was about a mile away from his house. Rather than just sharing some footage of the outside, Colin made the mistake of venturing in. At first he jokes around a bit, but things take a dark turn when he comes across a cow mask, which is really weird. After that, the vines get pretty nasty. Someone clearly has Colin's phone, and he is seen crouching in a corner. Colin is then seen unconscious and is fed pills. People later noticed that Colin's vines correlated to a YouTube channel called Ben's Playhouse. On this channel, which was active before Colin disappeared, viewers were exposed to some creepy stuff, but everyone just assumed it was the usual kind of stage just for lols creepy. People started putting 2 and 2 together when they saw the cow mask in one of his videos. In a new video called New Friend Mov, someone who looks a lot like Colin appears. It seems very much like Ben has actually kidnapped Colin, but then, around a year later, Colin disappears from Ben's channel and Ben's seen flying on a plane wearing Colin's red hoodie. After he lands, he is seen stalking a new victim. Horrifying. Who else is lurking on the dark web? No, it's this, and they're recruiting girls at number 7. The biggest terrorist cell of our generation uses the dark web to ensnare new recruits and also to share their heinous propaganda. A lot of vulnerable young Muslims are online by various sectors of the terror group. For example, in 2015, there was a very high-profile case of 3 girls from Bethnal Green in London traveling to Syria after speaking to this bridegroomers online. The 3 teenagers aged between 15 and 16 fled to never return. Of course, there was also the case of Samra Kasnovic. She was a 17-year-old blonde Australian girl who became a poster girl for ISIS in 2014 when she converted to Islam and fled to Syria. Eventually she changed her mind, she wanted out, she tried to escape and was stoned to death. Classic ISIS. Of course, as well as there are a number of red rooms showing beheadings of their prisoners. Coming into number 6, we have a classic. It is the Pain Olympics. I guess a lot of people my age are pretty aware of the Pain Olympics. It was the dark stuff that was going on when we were growing up. If you aren't aware though, it really was one of the first forays into the dark web. The video, popular on 4chan, shows real-life willing male mutilation. It's a scary story. Now, the videos came from online magazine BME Zine, created by Canadian Shannon Larratt. Larratt was all about body mods, but was also diagnosed as a schizophrenic. He died of a rare muscle disease in 2013, aged 39. His ball-popping legacy, however, lives on. Again, the dark web really is filled with nasties, and things have only got worse since the original shock videos circulated in around 2002. We have another one from the dawn of the age of the shock vid. We have the horrifying story of Mr. Hands at number 5. Now, this story was so nightmarish it actually led to a change in US law. Kenneth Pinion was a Boeing engineer from Washington who was a secret dark web zoophile. The 45-year-old shared violent reality images in dark web forums under the name Mr. Hands. Inspired by the zoophile community in the deep web, in the early 2000s he became part of a dark web group called Zoos. Now, these guys began meeting up at farms in order to engage in illicit relations with farmyard animals. In the end, he encouraged one of his zoo friends to film a video with him and a stallion on a farm in Gig Harbor, Washington. Now, the video is now synonymous with the dark web. Afterwards, he unfortunately dies of his injuries. This is horrifying, and actually, Pinion's tale is a scary one as much as it is a sad one. It seems that his perversion came after a motorbike accident, after which he turned to the dark web. Following his death, the law was changed in Washington state, making illegal. Can't believe it wasn't in the first place. This is horrifying. At number 4, we have Daisy's destruction. A whole heap of urban legends exist about Red Room sites on the dark web. Red Rooms are allegedly pay-per-view snuff and abuse movies or live videos. Basically, people pay to watch people being tortured, murdered, or abused. For people like you and I, these red rooms are pretty hard to find, but if you're au fait with the dark web and you know where to look, apparently you can get there. One example is the case of Peter Scully, who set up a company called No Limits Fun and a site called Daisy's Destruction. The fact that people like Australian-born Peter Scully exist is definitely terrifying, but the scariest thing about the whole story is that so many people paid to watch this content, making abuse and murder a viable business option for the psychopath. Coming into number 3, we have How to Cook a Woman. Ugh, goody. On an Ask Reddit, someone posed the question of what the worst deep web story they'd come across was, and one person revealed that they'd stumbled upon a fetish site. Of course, there are heaps and heaps of cannibalistic content, but one redditor, Bacon Boy Loiter, said that one day they were messing around with their friends and accidentally came across a comprehensive guide to cooking women. They wrote, "We're not talking about a short joke here." This page had information on what body types to use for specific cuts, how to prepare these cuts, and how to cook the girl so she lives as long as possible. Grim. In 2012, it was revealed that a 28-year-old NYPD officer was using the dark web and encrypted messages to conspire to kill a number of women he planned on eating. His messages were then documented and made public, and it seems that by accessing the dark web, he knew that he could get around 75 pounds of meat off a woman, and he planned to cook her over a low heat to keep her alive as soon as possible, which is actually really awful. Building on from that, we have the story of a man who willingly sold himself to a Number 2. 43-year-old computer technician Bernd Brandes placed an advert online on the dark web offering himself up to be eaten alive. 42-year-old Armin Maives responded to the advertisement in 2001 after a number of years spent on cannibalism forums. Soon the pair embarked upon one of the darkest, most sensational cannibal stories of modern history. Before meeting, the pair liaised on the web. Brandes and Maives had sex, but afterwards the ate him. Now, after his arrest, the described how he consumed his willing victim. He said, and I quote, "I decorated the table with nice candles. I took out my best dinner service and fried a piece of rump steak, a piece from his back. I made what I called princess potatoes and sprouts." Because his victim was willing, the only jailed for just 8 years and is now free. Ironically, he's now a vegetarian. Finally, coming into number 1, this really disturbed me. This is a real-life, gritty and ongoing horror story. Beware the terrifying tale of bug chasers and gift givers. This is very dark. Out there on the deep web, there is a subculture of people who want to infect people with HIV, and also a whole bunch of people who want to be infected with the disease. These people use dark web forums to find one another and organize their rendezvous. Of course, knowingly infecting someone with HIV is a crime, and wanting to receive the disease is akin to a slow burning The issue is apparently especially prevalent in Denmark, where there is a strong barebacking fetish scene. According to members of the scene, having unprotected sex with an HIV positive person is super arousing for them. Bug chasers will have sex with a number of HIV positive people dubbed as gift givers in the hope of catching the disease. While in itself this is exceptionally problematic, often this can lead to a person contracting several strains of HIV, super HIV, which makes treating the illness nigh on impossible. Some postings on bug and gift-giving sites read like this: 18-year-old twink bug chaser looking to get posed, or after months of chasing, I tested pos. High viral load, looking for neg bottoms to infect. Grim.
Starting off the list, we're coming in at number 10, the mystery boxes. Already sounds a bit scary, a bit shady, but alright. No, this was a really dangerous trend started by YouTubers. Back in August, a whole bunch of popular creators were ordering mystery boxes off the dark web, you know, as you do. This included Ice Poseidon, who got a mystery USB stick, I'm Jay Station, who paid $1,000 for a box of entrails, and you know, I can probably think of maybe one or two ways he could have better used that money, but sure. And Killam, who received a drug-stuffed teddy bear, a voodoo doll, a satanic children's book, a dismembered doll with on every single one of those little parts, and what looked like a murder weapon in a parcel delivered to his P.O. box. Still unconfirmed on whether, you know, that weapon was used or unused when it was received, and I'm not too sure about that, or whether I want to find out. While some of the YouTubers may not have been totally honest in how they obtained the box, some of them seemed pretty damn real. As the YouTubers were garnering millions of views, it's a potential cause for concern for their younger viewers who are more impressionable and may, you know, want to copy them, also ordering, you know, mystery boxes off the dark web and also receiving things they really probably shouldn't be receiving. But you know, you don't want that on the dark web, and you don't want your address floating on the dark web either.
Hip hip hooray, what have we got at number 9? Oh, human meat. According to numerous sources, it is perfectly possible to find human meat recipes on the internet, and not only that, it is possible to source said human meat. Grim. Redditor Bacon Boy Loiter wrote that one day he accessed the dark web and found a comprehensive guide to cook women. They continued by saying this page had information on what body parts to use for specific cuts, how to prepare these cuts, and how to cook the girl so she lives as long as possible. Right. Yeah, it's number 9 and I think I'm done.
Coming in at number 8, recruiters. Right, because that's the first thing you think of when you think dark web. Do a lot of recruiting on the dark web because apparently that's the most reliable place for employees these days, and here I am updating my LinkedIn every single day. In 2015, it was first announced that were using a Tor hidden service to host an ISIS propaganda site. A forum associated with TerraCell gave instruction on how to access the darknet site. Using the clever inscriptions of the dark web, are making themselves less traceable and hindering the FBI and other law enforcement from finding them. Great, because it was already so easy to find them in the first place. EU Representative Beatrice Breton said ISIL's activities on the surface web are now being monitored closely, and the decision by a number of governments to take down or filter extremist content has forced the to look for new online safe havens. But who said the dark web was a safe haven to begin with? Anybody? Definitely not me.
Coming into number 7, we have the Ainsley Harriott death plot. The dark web is famously a place that people can find illicit items or pay for illegal services. It isn't just a rumor that people can hire assassins this way, it's a fact. For those of you that don't know, Ainsley Harriott is a British chef and TV personality. Does anyone remember Ready Steady Cook? I loved it. PewDiePie even had a big cardboard cutout of him at one point, so maybe you'd know his face that way. Anyway, it seems that the chef was the target of an assassination plot unearthed in 2018. Luckily, the plot was foiled, but not everyone has been so lucky. There is, or was, or again maybe is, a website on the deep web called Assassination Market where people can guess the death dates of individuals betting Bitcoin. Then if they guess correctly, they get a payout. Now this seems to encourage would-be assassins to strike targets in order to get the money. Continuing on at number 6, we have Red Rooms. rooms. The dark web has red rooms, according to a plethora of Reddit posts, anyway. Red Room is the name given to a murder stream, and already I don't want to continue with this point. One Redditor, Draodan, posted on the No Sleep forum with their story of experiencing a red room. They said that their story goes way back to 2006 when they were 16 and they first accessed the dark web. They wrote that they initially found it using a Tor and they clicked on a .onion link. The dark web uses .onions as their links. I think it's some kind of joke about the deep layers of the web. I don't know, I haven't been there. So basically at this point in his life he was enjoying the dark web in an entertaining kind of teenage way, but then unfortunately things got real. He and his mates would spur each other on and encourage one another to click on horrible things. He then talks about the one thing that made him uninstall the Tor and never visit the dark web again. He clicked on a link that said Red Room going live soon. Hit with a wave of emotion, he said he decided to click on that link. In his post he writes, "What I saw is exactly what has been described by other accounts that have been posted. As such, bringing up the more gory no sleep bits is a bit hard for me to think about, let alone write. Details will be omitted." He continues by saying that he saw a woman with a pillowcase over her head. A male host asked what people wanted to see and do to her, and donations started flooding in for her torture. The post ends with the guy saying that he still thinks about what he saw and wonders if it was truly real. Honestly, I really hope it wasn't, but this is the dark web.
At number 5 we have Sad Satan Game. Already I don't like the sound of this, so let's just see how this goes. The Sad Satan Game has become a bit of a dark web urban legend. Part of the game was uploaded to the YouTube channel Obscure Horror Corner and has been watched nearly 3 million times. That's a lot of people and a lot of views. The game itself is a dark mystery, with the YouTubers saying they were given it by an anonymous subscriber who found it on the deep web. Not a shady source at all. So far as we know, the game includes a lot of footage of offender Jimmy Savile, images of President John F. Kennedy Jr. moments before his assassination, and audio clips of maniac murderer Charles Manson. And, you know, for that extra cherry on top, there are also images of Hitler in there for good measure. Perfect, just my favourite mix of people all in one place. There are also a lot of encrypted messages in the game that one Reddit user has claimed to have cracked. They think it says, "I can track you and kill, and kill again." Right. Coming in at number 4 is Pink. Now, ironically, considering it is on the dark web, pink has nothing to do with the drugs. Nothing at all. Is that even a drug? I'm not really sure. This awful encrypted deep website is a revenge porn site. That's right guys, keep your nudes safe, please. The site allows people to upload images of their exes and categorize them so that people can search using their name, age, tattoos, and more. Revenge porn is a serious issue and is very illegal. A girl posted on Reddit that she had been getting weird friend requests from random guys in random countries and was worried that she may be on this site, and turns out she was. Many victims of revenge porn consider suicide, and sadly a lot of them go through with it. I mean, who would want those images on the web to begin with?
Coming into number 3, we have the medical tests. Chris of Constant answered a Reddit thread that asked Redditors' darkest experience of the deep web. Alarmingly, they said that they came across an advertisement for medical services. Sounds legit, right? Well, this is the dark web, so no, not legit. The Redditor wrote that the medical company had warehouses filled with people in different countries. Some of these people were victims of trafficking, others were homeless and plucked off the streets in major cities like New York. The Redditor wrote that not only were the medical company organ harvesting, they were also offering inhumane medical experimentations on their so-called test subjects. Coming into number 2, this is so awful I really don't even want to talk about it. We have the destruction of Daisy. This is absolutely horrific. This is kind of a continuation of the idea of red rooms that we talked about earlier, although luckily the perpetrator behind this has been caught and jailed. Daisy's destruction were a selection of videos from the dark web. The video has often been dubbed as one of the worst things on the dark web, which is some accolade. Some people streamed the videos for up to $10,000. Are you even ready for number 1? I'm kind of terrified.
The list was already bad enough. I don't want to see what's at number 1. But at number 1 we have a murderer. In 2017, a 19-year-old boy murdered 2 people and posted details about it on the dark web. Marcel Hess shared microblog-style updates about what he was doing and declaring he was making murder weapons. In one message, he posted on a chat room saying, "I have cut myself in the hand as I fought the 120-kilogram beast." What beast is he talking about exactly? He then posted pictures of his murder weapon and took a selfie of himself covered in blood. He shared further images of the crime scene and his victims. Apparently, when his sister went to visit him in jail, he started screaming, "I am 4chan." I'm sorry?
He sounds like an absolute idiot, but a murdering idiot at that.
When Marcel was arrested, he was carrying a bag of onions, presumably a nod to the dark web.
Honestly, it sounds like a bit of a messed up place for some messed up people. So I don't want to go to the dark web.
When the internet first launched, people thought it would have as little impact on our lives as fax machines. But look at this puppy go now! It has become the most used tool around the world, and it houses all of the information to keep our world moving forward. Well, some of that information is needed and has a positive influence on everything we do, and the rest is somewhat terrifying or perverted, and you should never look at it unless you want to be scarred for life. Hello again, Most Amazing Top 10 family. I'm your host, Jade Arena, and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Today we are going to be Google searching with our eyes closed for our list of top 10 cursed websites you should never visit. As always, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell, and stick around for the whole list because I'm going to be reading out some questions from my Instagram inbox. If you want to ask me a question, you can hit me up through the gram, and without taking any longer, let's get into this list. Coming in at number 10, we have Best Gore. This was a site that was popular when I was a kid, and it would be something that you would hear people talk about like an urban legend. It would be this fabled thing that some kid had seen or claimed they had seen. Some people said they looked at it and then they puked after. Some people would say that their parents banned them from using the computer after checking out this website. But Best Gore is exactly what it sounds like. It was videos and pictures of some of the most horrifying gore that has ever been uploaded to the internet. This is something that I highly recommend you stay away from, because once you see these images, it's nearly impossible to scrub them from your mind. You might think that you have the stomach for something like this, but the brutality displayed on this site is no joke. These videos are real, and trust me, they're nothing like the movies. Coming at number 9, we have Ripless Natas. Okay, let's move away from something that will curse you emotionally and onto something that will curse you spiritually. Ripless Natas is apparently a site that is haunted by the ghost of a girl who has the same name. The story goes that this girl was murdered in the 1800s because it was suspected that she was the child of the devil himself. She then possessed someone in this day and age so she could get them to make something that would make sure her memory would live on, and that was a creepy website. Now her spirit lives in this domain. But that's not all that it does. This website can also be used as a tool for revenge. Oh, now it's getting good. If you visit this website at the stroke of midnight, then there will be the option to type a person's name, and the ghost of this little devil girl will fly out and take care of whoever you want revenge on. But like most black magic, this comes at a cost. In exchange for taking out your competition, she will invade your dreams every night until you die. So you're basically trading every good night's sleep ever for the rest of your life for sweet, sweet revenge. You must really dislike this person. Coming in at number 8, we have whiteenamel.com, a somewhat interactive horror game that seems to tell the story of what's going on in a creepy mental asylum that has been abandoned. You do a tour around this place, and although there isn't any real story, the whole experience is creepy in presentation and will make you want to shut it off as soon as you start playing it. And the developer of this game really went out of their way to make sure that every inch of this thing was as creepy as possible. They decided that the loading screen of this game would be needles that poke into your skin, which makes you feel like you're being locked away in an insane asylum against your will as someone sedates you, which sounds like the most terrifying scenario of all time. Coming in at number 7, we have Death Date. This website does exactly what it sounds like. It tells you when you're going to die based on putting in a little bit of information into it. Now, while this is for sure a gimmick that was thrown on the web to scare people like a good creepy pasta, there have been plenty of rumors surrounding this website, and I'm here to run through some of them with you. Some people say that this website is actually using the small amount of data that you put in to sell to companies, so they better know how to market to you. The website asks you some personal questions like what kind of stimulants you like to use, and it's suspected that this information is sold to pharmaceutical companies. Other people think that there's some sort of curse attached to this website that makes the death date that pops up a hard and fast rule. Could you imagine you speed track your own death by putting your information into some stupid website? That would suck. I am not down at all. Coming in at number 6, we have Divine Intervention. Okay, this one isn't as spooky as the previous ones, but it will definitely ruffle some feathers and is kind of offensive just for the sake of being being offensive. Mind you, some of this stuff is absolutely hilarious. Divine Intervention is a site that specializes in sex toys. Okay, that's not that impressive. There's a lot of websites that want to give you the tools to make sure that your privates are pleased, so what makes this one so cursed? Well, Divine Intervention specializes in sex toys that are themed around holy symbols. Do you want a dildo that's in the shape of Jesus Christ? Well, they got that for you. Do you want some lube that has been blessed? Well, you better believe that's on the docket as well. Now, other than just being offensive to religious people, if there is a heaven, you better believe that St. Peter is gonna bring this up when you're being judged at the pearly gates. Yeah, you're gonna go straight to hell for this one. Coming in at number 5, we have house creep. Do you want to know where the closest murder to your home is? Or are you a normal person? House creep lets you know all about the spooky homes that are close to yours. There's a wide range of places you can check out in your neighborhood that have something weird going on with them. Do you want to know which houses in your neighborhood are haunted? Check it out on House Creep, baby! Do you want to know which house in your area recently had a murder in them? Well, House Creep will give you the full lowdown. I mean, outside of being something that will make you not want to hang out at your neighbor's place, it's actually a great tool for people who are house hunting and want to find out if something terrible has happened in the home that they're looking at before they buy it. But I think this site is mostly used by people who are stimulated by creepy information. Coming in at number 4, we have the fifth nail. This is a rabbit hole you could start going down that might never end. I wouldn't want to get too deep into this because it would start with the fifth nail and then next thing you know, I'm sitting on the couch watching murder docs until I forget how to walk. So for those of you who don't know, the fifth nail is a blog that is inadvertently written by serial killer Joseph E. Duncan. This guy is sitting in prison waiting for his death sentence to be played out, but in the meantime he's been sending letters to a blogger to keep updating a blog about his thoughts. Now there is no proof as to whether or not this is actually Duncan writing these posts, or if it's just someone trying to capitalize on a serial killer's psychotic infamy. But if it is Duncan, the mind of a serial killer can be a very strange place to get lost in, and even though the posts are limited, I don't think it would be a healthy exercise to start investigating how these people operate unless you're gonna try and stop them like Batman. If that's your motivation, then more power to you. Coming in at number 3, we have rotten.com, something that is very similar to Best Gore but ventures into every area of horrible imagery. There are complete breakdowns of how dogs poop, what poop looks like, where you can find more poop. There are Photoshop pictures of people drinking urine. There are real pictures of people drinking urine. Dead bodies. There are pictures that show the long-term effects of drug use and what people look like after they've been hit by lightning. Basically, they have every Best Gore post, plus a bunch of other bizarre things that make you wonder how on earth this stuff gets found. I mean, some of it isn't even gross, it's just strange. But that's the worst part about this website. You might get lulled into a false sense of security. You'll be reading something about dog poop and then the next thing you click on is a picture of someone with their hand cut off. Alright, coming in at number 2, we have a Ouija board. For anyone who has been checking out my content for a little while, you will know that I don't mess around with Ouija boards. In fact, I didn't even go to this website to see how cursed it was. I just read about it and apparently the site is haunted by a dark spirit. Some other people say that everyone who has ever died has access to this site. I wonder what kind of Wi-Fi there is in the afterlife. But when you ask this Ouija board a question, it will respond with some pretty creepy answers. So if you are tired of bringing dark energy into your life with the old-fashioned store-bought Ouija board, then use this digital version so you can invite some horrors into your life that know how to use Facebook. And finally, the number 1 spot is Last Words, a page that is truly heartbreaking. This page is cursed in the sense that it will weigh heavy on your heart. Last Words is a government website that gives you a breakdown of each person's last words before they were executed on death row. It tells you their name, the crime they committed, and every last thing they said before lethal injection. You go into this knowing that people are sent to death row for a good reason, unless the legal system was wrong and convicted the wrong person, which does happen sometimes. But reading what people have to say right before they know they're going to die is hard to get through. Several of them are apologies to families that they hurt, and whether or not they really mean those words, they're still moving. And then it makes you think about the families that lost everything because of this person. The whole thing puts you in a mental state that will make it hard to get a good night's sleep.